Alright, so we're back once again, and today I'm going to be going through, well, as you can probably see, it's going to be featuring the Izumo, the IGN Tier 9 BB. Now, obviously the title of this video is the hardest ship I've probably had to grind through, and from playing the Izumo, it definitely lives up to that title. I've been playing the last couple, maybe week or so, I've been playing on my live stream, I've been playing offline, and for some reason, I just can't seem to get this ship to work. Now, obviously, I always say that the two main aspects to playing a really good, to being a really good battleship player, is positioning and aiming. And now, obviously, with the Izumo, it's a pretty tanky ship actually. After the, I think it was the buffs last year, or yeah, I think it was last year. It's actually a lot more tankier. And it's in a lot of a better position than it previously was. I didn't play the old Izumo, obviously, because I've just got it right now. But from hearing and reading about it online, it was apparently it was meant to be a horrific mess of a ship. It got power creeped like hell. That being said, everything seems a lot more favorable for this version of the Izumo. It's still a bit light on things like AA. Although the deck armor is a lot improved, so you can actually get the HE spam isn't as devastating as it used to be. That being said, I think the ship has a very unique playstyle, and you can probably tell just by looking at it that it doesn't play like other battleships of the tier. You know, it isn't like a Frederick Grossa where you have, you know, you get used to that playstyle of like two turrets on the front, two turrets in the back. This ship is completely different. I think the layout's completely different to any other BB I've ever played in the game. I think the closest thing I could point to would be maybe the King George V, you know, with the 4x2 on the front, so you just sit bow in all the time. But even then, this ship doesn't really play bow in all that well. If you look at the position I'm in right now, well, that being said, I'm in a pretty bad position. You kind of want to be positioning like this, with basically your back to where you want to be shooting, and just kind of being playing on the edge of where you can get all three turrets on the target to shoot. That being said, shooting is not easy on this ship, as I've been painfully figuring out over the last couple of days. When you go from the Fuso to the Nagato, you obviously go from, I forget what the guns are on the Fuso. I think maybe it's 360 mil, 380, but you go to 410 millimeters on the Nagato. I think that's tier 7, and the Izumo still has the 410 millimeter guns. Now that's not the guns in the ship are pretty good. Like, that's not a diss on the guns at all. But at the same time, because of the high shell velocity and the pretty good dispersion, it's I'm not used to guns being this effective, so I'm basically having to calibrate my aim entirely. So just about dodged the Shima Torps. That being said, now I'm in a really bad position because this BB, I've been learning over time that you need a team with you to play this BB effectively. This BB isn't like Gross Occur First, where you can just brawl or tank a hell of a lot of damage. It isn't like the Conqueror where you can just HE spam and just play on the edge. You need a team around you supporting you to actually be effective. So to a certain extent, you're basically a slave to your team. And if you look at my team right now, they're basically all clumped up in this area, making it a little bit awkward to actually be effective. But that being said, going back to the actual grind of the ship, I think right here I have the B hull. Obviously there's a couple of upgrades you can get. You get the B hull and then you go to the C hull. The B hull gives you a lot more AA, which is desperately needed, and a little bit more HP. Now the C hull is basically the thing you need to be aiming for really quickly, because that gives you the rudder shift. I think it gives you like 6 or 9 seconds off your rudder shift, which is massive, absolutely massive. You can just tell by how slow I am turning in these series of plays. Like, if I had an extra 6 seconds, I'd be a lot more maneuverable. And then you have the propulsion, which gives you like 0.8 of a knot, which again isn't all that massive. And the range upgrade, I think, gives you a couple of, I don't know, I think it's 10%. So again, you're going up to about, what, 21 kilometers? Which again isn't all that massive, but yeah, it helps. So yeah, you basically want to go for the sea hull first, and then range. And if you just want to save the XP, I'm probably not going to go for propulsion, because 0.8 of a knot isn't all that massive. Now, that being said, we have managed to do 30k damage so far, which isn't terrible for the start of the battle. But again, you can see, like, look at this broadside Alaska. He's sailing. He doesn't even know where he's going. He doesn't even know I'm shooting at him. I think, oh yeah, this is perfect. I got the citadels. And you get 3 overbends. That's how finicky this ship is. Unless you're aiming perfectly, because the shells have such high velocity and a pretty good dispersion for BBs, they're going to go exactly where you point them. So critically good aim is so much more important than it is with other BBs. Because with other BBs, there's always a chance that some shell could go a little bit haywire and you get a random bit of good dispersion. That being said, we do get a decent salvo on the Bismarck, 10k. You never really run the risk of actually citadeling a Bismarck or any kind of German BB. Well, there was once where I citadeled, I don't know if it was the Curvers or if it was the Friedrich Grob with my I think it was with either my Neptune or my Minotaur. I think if you get long enough range, the looping shells, if they come down at the right angle, they can actually go through the superstructure and citadel. But that's a discussion for a different time. Again, I'm trying to pull away from this side. I'm trying to actually get to my team at this point, because I know I can't deal with this. Even though the Bismarck's tier 8, they still have a Musashi on that side and the Shimakaze. So they're making me painfully aware that I'm not welcome on this side of the map. That being said, we get a monster salvo on the Bismarck. It just goes to show you how absolutely powerful these guns are. And makes you aware of what's possible when you go up now after the ship to the Yamato, which has, I think, 460 millimeters. No, they definitely don't have 457. I know that's a cutting off point. I think they have 460s. So you're going to be overmatching like hell. But yeah, learning this ship takes a long time, and for me it's probably been the hardest grind I've had to do so far. Just because the game, I think the game's fundamentally changed too right now, because the way of the AP, I don't know why I said it like that, but playing AP now seems secondary to HE spam. And it's kind of like, the way I like to think of it is that HE spam's like kind of like the junk food. You eat it in the moment and you feel pretty alright. Like, it's kind of like a pleasure. But then AP's like working out and eating healthily. Over the long run, you feel like you're a better player, even though I somehow managed to hit a rock right there. That's the kind of comparison I like to use between AP and HB and HE. I don't even know if it holds water, but that's just the way I think about it. That being said, I'm obviously being chased down by the Shimakaze. The game's not looking all that good because my team somehow took this long to actually push through D. But yeah, my first impressions were pretty horrific in the ship. This, again, probably the biggest turning point, or not the turning point, but the biggest point of contention is the sea turret on this ship. As we take a couple of pot shots at the Shimakaze. Do a decent amount of damage, 3 overbends. But yeah, the sea turret is a pretty odd one, to say the least. Now, obviously, you're going to be spending most of your time angling out like this, pretty much. And the critical thing is that you don't want it to overturn, where you're showing too much of your side, that you end up getting citadeled. Because, I mean, like, the side armor on the ship is actually pretty decent. I think if you get angled well enough, the risk of you getting citadel is pretty much non-existent. That being said, I see these torps coming from a mile off, And I'm desperately trying to get around the island. At this point I realise I'm not going to make it, and I'm probably going to die as a result, because Shima Torps do definitely more than 12k damage, I think. I think it's 16 or 18. But just at the last second, they run out, and I just managed to survive. So we're up to 85k. Not doing too bad, not doing too great. I don't know what the average damage on this ship is. I think it's probably around 60 or 70k. That being said, this is my first couple of outings on the ship. And we seem to be losing this game pretty dramatically. Again, we're going to take another pot shot at the Shima. Probably not going to do anything. And he gets dropped by the carrier. I should expect. DDs are greater than carriers. I mean, holy, carriers are greater than DDs. That being said, now I kind of realize the game's kind of over, so we're going to turn in and try and get some pot shots off. Try and do a little bit extra damage before the game ends. But yeah, just the sea turret on this ship is... I don't actually know why it's like this. It's a very strange design. That being said, even... It's not so much the sea turret, it's the fact that the middle turret, as you can see, is propped up on a massive barbette. And what that leads to is the fact that, you know, you're going to be spending a lot of time using your repair... Well, even if you want to use your repair module, but that turret's going to get knocked out so damn much. It's not even funny. Just from random shells, constantly barraging it. Especially if you set bow in. It's not so much if you're angling out, like I'm kind of positioning right now. That's not too bad. But if you go bow in, you're going to be eating a lot of damage on those turrets, and you're going to be dealing with them being knocked out consistently every single game. So I think that's why the recommended playstyle is to sit like this, even though we're pretty much dead. That way you basically negate the risk of... You're pretty well angled, so you're not going to get citadeled all that much. You have a good escape plan because you can just accelerate. And your turrets are kind of protected by both your superstructure and the way your ship's angled. I think if you adopt this playstyle in the positioning regard, you'll be a lot better well served. That being said, with this ship, aiming is so critical. And trying to get in... If you can get into that kind of like 12 or 10 to 12 kilometer or maybe 15 kilometer range, and you're accurate, you're going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage. As you get earlier in the game, as you can see, like the Bismarck got flat broadside at about, I think it was like 12 or 14 kilometers, and he ate 25k damage from one salvo. So there definitely is a massive potential with this ship. But for me, it's been probably the hardest grind I've had to do so far. It's not so much... Like, I've done grinds before where they're tier 9 to 10, and I've enjoyed them quite a bit. You know, the Neptune being an example of that. You know, once you learn the playstyle, it's actually a pretty enjoyable ship to play. But, yeah, I think this ship's going to be one where I grind to tier 10 and take a long break before I play it again. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.